And hello YouTube. I'm rolling out of Bullocks late this morning. 4:55 a.m. Friday. Quit beeping, car. 4:55 a.m. Friday, August 19th, 2022. Had a hell of a show last night. Only had one person who appeared to be like pissed off at me, which really bums me out because it's somebody that I like and care about a lot. I really don't know what her deal was. At one point, she just came up and started yelling at me when I was emceeing and trying to deal with an awkward situation, and I mean that's kind of rude on her part. Like when somebody's talking, like that's not the best time to talk to them. Like, wait until they stop talking, and if they're doing some kind of public announcing, wait until they're done with that, then talk to them. So she came up, started yelling at me, and I was just looking at her with this look like she had gone off in a huff before I'd even kind of finished what I was doing at that moment. And the funny thing about that was that she was all screaming, I'm gonna get you to lose, I'm gonna make you lose your job. And I'm like, okay. Okay. Yeah, staff's thoroughly thrilled with the show. Apparently they did good tonight. I did good tonight. But yeah, I had a good time. So as you may have seen in the last video, I got to Bullocks quicker than expected. Made a really good time in spite of the rain. I did sit behind the bar, hoping that the rain would slow down. It didn't, and just in the little distance from where I was parked to getting in the back patio, I got fairly soaked. So that sort of sucked. And of course, I didn't have a hairbrush or anything, or a hair tie, so my hair probably looks like shit right now. But whatever. Still feel like I mostly rocked the show. I did have one moment. I had one moment that was kind of embarrassing, and then another moment that was sort of like, ooh, I should have done this song better. But I still got a really good crowd response on it, regardless. Which I don't know. Like I kind of look at like the one song I just had a complete fail on. So I got and I actually mentioned it in the last video. I got an instrumental for Prince DMSR. The song from the funkiest track off of the 1999 album, and I figured if I just pulled up the lyrics that I could just sing that song with the lyrics on the screen without karaoke type highlighting lyrics, and yeah, I thought wrong. I want to say I carried probably 2/3 of it, which is okay. It's a fairly long song, but when I lost my place, I just straight up lost my place, and I'm looking at the lyrics on the screen going, yeah, I have no idea where that comes in over this instrumental. I'm gone. And I think that just kind of comes from the fact that that's one of those kind of songs that when I put it on, like I'm really focused at it at the beginning, and then it I don't want to say it becomes background noise, but when I'm listening to it, there comes a point where I'm not as much paying attention to the lyrics as I'm just kind of tend to focus on the groove of the song, because it's one of those songs, and hopefully I can, if you're not familiar with the song, I'm going to try to put a link into the video description. Hopefully it's streaming. It seems like most of the Prince catalog at this point you can stream on YouTube. So yeah, I'm going to try to rain, road, slow down. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to try to when I get to hey, I just realized how tired I am. Yeah, when I get to what was I saying? When I work on that, when I upload this, I'm gonna try to remember to put in the video description a link to stream DMSR. Just in case you're like, wait, I don't know that Prince song. That's not a Prince song. No, it wasn't a radio hit. I've never heard the song on the radio, but it's definitely a song Prince fans know. It's something that's been a regular. I've been pretty much throwing that in my DJ sets as literally as long as I've been DJing. Usually, even if it's a crowd that doesn't know it, I get an okay crowd response. But if it's a crowd that knows it, I usually get a pretty good crowd response. And I did. I was getting a pretty good crowd response on singing it. But when I lost my place, I lost it. And there were a handful of people in the front, Mario and his friends, that were just like, "Come on, Dan!" And I'm like, I'm lost. I'm sorry, I'm lost. But anyway, and now I mentioned in my last video, I do really want to author my own karaoke track for that, but I don't know that I have any software even installed on the machine that I host with for authoring. That's something that I used to do on my last home computer, which was named Big Dell, and Big Dell has been dead for, God, I want to say 4 years. I feel like it's been 4 years, probably 3 years. I don't know. It's been quite some time since Big Dell completely crashed and wouldn't boot, and I just didn't have time to mess with it. And then it just sat there in the living room dead while I didn't have time to mess with it. And at that time, the main reason I didn't have time to mess with it was pretty much whenever I wasn't hosting karaoke, I was working for Lime, juicing limes, and by the time that came to an end, the main focus of my life was trying to get more karaoke gigs, and by the time I got more karaoke gigs, the governor declared a state emergency. Oh my goodness, it's a pandemic, we're all going to get the flu, and shut all the bars down. So after that, now granted, after that would have been a smart time to rebuild that computer. It really would have. I think at that point I'd kind of decided that I wanted to rebuild something more powerful rather than put the time into rebuilding that. I forget exactly what the specs are on Big Dell, but I can tell you it runs Windows XP, and it was sold with Windows XP on it. So I know it's pretty it's fairly on the powerful side for a Windows XP computer, but I mean that'll give you a hint at just how dated it is. So definitely I want to get something. It's time. Like my next home computer, I at some point I may I may still rebuild Big Dell. That's a computer I put a lot of love into, but yeah, at some point I just need to build a newer, more powerful home computer for working on tracks. But in the meantime, I don't think I have any software installed on the computer I'm currently hosting on that I can author my own lyrics for a karaoke track on, and I don't think I really want to do that. I don't think I'll be able to focus enough on doing that inside Bolex, which right now is the only place that I work on that computer. So yeah, that's going to have to be a project for another time, and it could be way off in the future. But and when I do get around to doing that, I will definitely be doing some more prints. Before the show, I did have some hang time. As I mentioned, I got there kind of early. I did say hi to a handful of people, but and there's plenty of people I could have socialized with, but I really, really wanted to see if I could get at least one karaoke track added while preseason football was still on before I started my show, and I did, and pretty stoked about what I got added. Other than I'm getting a little redundant because I just added Temple of the Dog last week, but added Seasons by Chris Cornell, which is a song that was originally released on the Singles soundtrack, which is if you've never seen the movie, it's a good watch. It's kind of dated, but it kind of shows Seattle in its heyday of the early grunge scene, and basically follows a bunch of 20-somethings and young 30-somethings that are singles and their lives. It's I don't want to give away more in the movie than that, but it's a movie I thoroughly enjoyed when it came out, when I was pretty much that same age, and even now, like it just brings back good memories. And of course, the soundtrack is pretty much all that early '90s, like anybody who was happening in the early '90s and the whole grunge, all rock scene is in there and it's not just limited to that too. Like there's a really good Paul Westerberg song on that album. But anyway, Seasons by Chris Cornell wasn't a hit song, and was never released as a single. But that soundtrack was super popular for a long time, and that song actually reappears several times in the movie. Like sometimes just the instrumental from it is kind of used as the score for the movie. Anyway, stoked about that. At some point I'm going to sing it. Definitely didn't have the right crowd for it last night, but yeah, I got that done and added before the show. After the show, I've been getting so much stuff from the Karaoke Nerds channel, and had to go fully self-indulgent on that. Added 2 songs from the Postal Service, Sleeping In and Clark Gable. I'll say I love those songs, but the reality is I love everything by the Postal Service, and there really isn't much from the Postal Service. That's a band that just didn't really. It's a collaborative effort between. Oh gosh, I forget the one guy's name, but Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, and then somebody else who did electronic music, who was kind of, memory serves, a Seattle musician as well. Somebody I never particularly got into, but absolutely love the collaboration that is the Postal Service, and it makes me so sad that their discography essentially consists of one album and a handful of songs and some remixes and B-sides from singles. But it is what it is. But that one album, and if you've never heard that album before, oh my gosh, hopefully I can maybe put a link to a playlist for it on this video description as well. The only album by the Postal Service is called Give Up, and it's just amazing beginning to end. There are no bad songs on it. But really stoked to have karaoke now for both Sleeping In and Clark Gable. Both from the Karaoke Nerds channel, both excellent versions. Yeah. And again, like, Bolex isn't the right crowd for it. Someday I will have another show somewhere where that'll work, I hope. But yeah, added that. And then after that, it was like, yeah, I want to work with Prince. So added the track for She's Always in My Hair. Was kind of surprised to see that of all the music that I have, and just kind of explain like what I got going on my karaoke DJ computer. I mean, I've got all kinds of work that's in progress, several download directories, and that's my mess. But I have 3 organized libraries. I have some kind of sub things as well, but primarily 3 organized libraries. One for karaoke tracks, one for music videos, and one for just music. Mostly MP3. I do have some other audio formats, but 99.98% of it is MP3. Oh, you should go for FLAC. Yeah, you know what? Nah. I'm good. I'm quite fine with MP3, thank you. I'm a big fan of backwards compatibility, and I can pretty much transfer a constant bit rate MP3. Generally, I do everything at 192k bit, and it's you should do it at 256k bit or 320k bit. To my ears, 192k bit sounds 99.8% of the time just fine. Can you look? Can you run that file against a WAV file of the same song and do a checksum and see that there's some minute differences? Oh yeah, you can. But I've been DJing with MP3s since 1999, so well over 20 years, and I've never had anybody tell me, oh, these MP3s sound like shit. Generally speaking, people are impressed with the sound of what I got going on, so I'm good. Anyway, in my MP3 library, and I don't know that I've really discussed much about like how my MP3 library is organized, but it's all by artists. It's all by artists. And then in every artist, like what I have under that artist, it just depends on the artist. Like some artists, you go to it and I have one song. In some artists, I'm trying to think of a good example. M, there's a good one. M, yeah, I have one song in my MP3s for the artist known as M, and that would be pop music with a Z. If you know that song, you know that song. And if you know any other songs by M, then you know one more M song than I know, and that 90% of the rest of the world knows. So props to you. Other artists, especially when you talk about somebody as highly prolific as Prince, that I'm into as Prince, I've got many full albums, and they'll all be in subdirectories with the year followed by the album name. Actually, I go a little bit deeper into it with Prince. I'll actually specify like which group. Like it'll like Prince 1999 is just Prince, but yeah, like Around the World in a Day, it actually has the year, which I think is 85, and then I can't remember if that came out 85 or 86, but anyway, it has a year, and it's just Prince and the Revolution, Around the World in a Day, and of course the stuff that's Prince and the Prince and the New Power Generation says that as well. But anyway, I was really surprised that I didn't have an MP3 for She's Always in My Hair. As I said in my last video, that's one of those B-sides that I've absolutely loved. Oh, and by the way, I looked it up. It's a B-side to Raspberry Beret in the United States. That's how I got it. I bought the Raspberry Beret 45 right when it first came out. Loved the B-side. In the UK, it was the B-side for Paisley Park. So hey, learn something every day. I don't think I have any UK Prince singles. Maybe that's something I should get in my collection one of these days. It feels like something my record collection is lacking. But anyway, added that version from karaoke version is on point, which I think I mentioned in my last video that I listened to it, and downloaded it on my phone just in case it got blocked, and listened to it on my phone. It was great to listen to it on the Sennheisers and sing along to it. After that, I went looking through the rest of my downloads to see what more I have for Prince. I did not make it through everything, so I'm probably going to start tomorrow. Today, later, this afternoon, whatever. Lunchtime. I'm probably not going to be there for breakfast because it's already like 5:12 in the morning. But yeah, when I head later to Bollock's to work on more music today, I fully intend to work on more Prince. I've got more Prince. But yeah, added She's Always in My Hair, and then the other things that I added, and these are not going to be listed. Like if you look at my new additions I always forget what the hell that button is called. You think for as long as I've been using songbookdb.com, I would just know this, but for some reason it's just, I got a mental block for it. But hey, I got my iPhone back. I can look it up real quick. Here we go. Songbookdb loading. Hey, there's me. Karaoke by Dan. Just added. The button says just added. It's right there above where it says Karaoke by Dan. But you click that, it shows my the karaoke songs that were just added in the last 30 days. And I'm sure you probably can't really see that. It looks pretty blurry, but the Postal Service, Clark Gable and Giving In, Prince and the Revolution, She's Always in My Hair, Chris Cornell Seasons, and then it's the stuff I added last week. But I did actually add two more things for Prince that don't get listed because they're already in the catalog. Basically, I did notable upgrades on two versions of songs I already had. Switched from the SBI karaoke version to the Zoom HD karaoke version for Prince Prince Raspberry Beret. How appropriate, as I'm doing the B-side song. Add Raspberry Beret. I've never been particularly fond, and much love for SBI karaoke. lots of love for SBI Karaoke. Now, I don't use their site as much as I used to, just because I don't like their current design of it, since it got knocked offline a couple years ago and then went back up. I just really don't like the layout of the new site. But for the most part, their karaoke is great quality. And I've got countless, SBI karaoke versions that I have no intentions of ever changing. But yeah, I've never been too fond of their version of Raspberry Beret. It just sounds off. Like, what's the nicest word to describe how it sounds? It sounds off. I mean, if you sing it well, you can own it and make it sound okay. And I have several times, but I know sometimes people go sing it and they are kind of struggling with it, and I'm just like, yeah, they're probably not really hearing the song in their head, because this is just off. And then towards the end of the song, and I really like the way that Zoom handled this versus the way SBI did. So it's got the backing vocals. Both of them have the backing vocals, and both of them have decent sounding backing vocals. Definitely the Zoom has better sounding backing vocals. But towards the end of the song, it just kind of repeats the chorus. The backing vocals repeats the chorus, and of course Prince of course produces all his own music, so his voice is part of the backing vocals. But then on the end of Raspberry Beret, he's doing some ad libs, kind of like just some ooh hoo hoo kind of stuff, and where all the raspberry women gone and stuff like that. And when you're listening to the song, like actually listening to the song off Around the World in a Day, or listening to it on the radio or whatever, or from the Hits Volume 1, or is it on Volume 2? I can't remember. Anyway, when you hear that song, it's generally when people are singing along to the song, they're not doing those ad libs, and the ad libs are kind of low in the mix anyway. Generally speaking, they're singing along to the chorus. Yeah, people would often struggle with that because of the way SBI did it. SBI Karaoke, the way they did their track is they've got the backing vocals are there, but then the ad libs are sort of put on the screen, but they just look awkward on the screen. And unless like you really, really know that part of that song, you're looking at that on the screen and you're just like, how do I sing this? And I get that response from a lot of people that sing that song. So I like the way that Zoom Karaoke handled it better. They basically got the backing vocals doing that, and then that's what's on the screen. That's the part most people would sing along with, but the ad libs are not in the track. And the backing vocals are strong enough that if you know the ad libs, or you just want to ad lib yourself and let your inner Prince out, you can. And I tried that over the Zoom track, and it was like, yeah, that's how I'm doing this. I'm gonna own this. But yeah, definite upgrade on so if you've ever come to my show and you've sang Raspberry Beret and you didn't like the version, come on back. Got a new version. It's better. Another one that I changed, and this one, so I sang this Wednesday night when I went to Gary's show. Sang Little Red Corvette, and I never sing Little Red Corvette at my own show. Just because I've got so many deeper tracks from Prince that I like more. But anyway, I was singing it, which of course is on the legacy house system that Steve Lee made, like a decade ago. I mean, my God, Steve Lee's been gone, past how many years ago? It seems like it's been too long. I miss him. Anyway, yeah, so it's on the legacy system that Steve put together, which has a lot of DK on it. And so the version that it has is, for Little Red Corvette, is DK, which is not a bad version. I've sang that many times at other people's karaoke shows before, and I'm sure I've sang it at my own show before, but it's short. It's like the short radio edit. Like, it's just over 3 minutes. So if you're as into Prince as I am, and you've listened to the 1999 album as many times as I've listened to it, or anywhere close to that, like, and you're singing along to that, then you're like, whoa, why are you cutting the song off? But I know he's not cutting the song off. Like, that's just where the DK version ends. But yeah, when I was singing it, I was a little disappointed. I'm like, oh man, I was getting into this, and this is a super short version. And then anyway, so I'm going through my Prince stuff, and that's the same version I've been using all these years. So like I'm cutting people off at 3 minutes too. Anyway, I also switched to the Zoom HD version. I was sitting on the Zoom HD version for that as well. And it's not exactly the same as the album version. It kind of cuts off like the kind of weird beginning of the song. It actually kind of comes in where I think the radio edit comes in, which is just a few seconds of kind of. Honestly, I think it sounds better the way it fades in, but which is odd because that part was actually included in the DK version. But so it shortens it a little bit at the beginning, and then like many Zoom karaoke versions do, Zoom has got this thing for making sure that every one of their karaoke versions has a cold ending. You'll notice that if you mess with a lot of different brands of karaoke, Zoom never has a fade. And if it's a song that fades out, Zoom finds some way to reinvent the end of the song so it ends cold. It's not bad the way they did it. It's just different. It's just Zoom karaoke being Zoom karaoke. But for everything that they got right in that version, and the most important thing is that it's essentially the whole song. Like it's got the passage, it's got the little breakdown that you rarely ever hear on the radio. At least you never used to hear it on the radio back in the day. That I'm pretty sure is cut off on the 45. But that if you have the 1999 album or CD, of course you hear, where it kind of the pace changes a little bit, and and Prince is like, "Girl, you gotta act like I never seen." And then there's that whole, I say the grind, I say the ride. That whole part, like the other karaoke version I had, that whole part's missing. So yeah, the version from Zoom, it's got all that. I'm ecstatic with it. I'm still on the fence if I'm gonna keep the DK version as an option and maybe add it to the catalog as 7-inch edit or radio edit or something like that. Yeah, if it shows up tomorrow in the just added section, then I decided to keep it, and if not, I decided to lose it. I'm still on the fence. I figured I'd give myself more time to think about it. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards keeping it because sometimes I got a lot of singers, and it helps to have shorter versions to move the show along. And sometimes people actually want the shorter version, so always kind of throws me off when people do. But Anyway, thinking about keeping that one just because it's I still figure that DK version kind of serves a purpose. So anyway, I'm starting to feel like a sauna in the car. Again, I'm heading into Circle K, get myself my sip and save drink. Thanks for coming with on the ride. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Yeah, if you're not that into my karaoke stuff, this was probably boring as hell for you, but yeah, some days I just like to talk about the stuff I'm adding in music because I really enjoy that. Oh, and by the way, I also upgraded my video for as long as I was working on the Postal Service. I upgraded the video for "The District Sleeps Alone Tonight." The one I had was letterboxed and pretty low resolution. It sounded really good, but it was just letterboxed and low resolution. The one I have now, it does sound notably better, but the big difference is that it's still kind of low resolution, but it's a little higher resolution than definitely higher resolution than the one I had. And it's 320p widescreen. It's pretty low resolution, but the upscaling of my video driver makes it look pretty decent. But it is proper 16:9 widescreen, and which I had to, from the download I had was also letterbox, but I was able to crop it, and there was a little noise on the side, and cropped it out, made it look really good. Tried to put that on my other YouTube channel where I keep videos and karaoke tracks, and it immediately matched for copyright, blocked in all countries, and I'm like, oh, Alrighty then. I just deleted it. I'm like, I guess everybody's just gonna have to go to the Death Cab for Cutie Vivo and deal with it being with pretty low audio and letterboxed. Sorry. Tried to share a nice widescreen version, but YouTube didn't let me. So, or more appropriately, the record label that owns the that would be Warner, actually. Warner Group, Warner Elektra. That reasonably sure that album was on Atlantic Records, so it'd be under the WEA, Warner Elektra Atlantic Music Group. So imagine that, Warner Brothers being tight asses with their copyrights. Who would have thought? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm just going home from here. No more videos for me until I get my day's sleep. But thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. There will be more of this kind of stuff later.